The last ride. Liam and his friends walked toward the old amusement park at the edge of town. It had been closed for many years, but tonight the lights were shining brightly in the darkness. Soft music floated through the cold night air, making them feel both curious and uneasy. The main gate stood wide open, though no one was there to take tickets or welcome visitors. The smell of popcorn drifted past them, but the stalls looked dusty and abandoned, as if no one had touched them for years. They exchanged nervous glances before stepping cautiously inside together. The rides moved slowly, as if invisible people were operating them in the shadows. The Ferris wheel turned without making a single sound, and the carousel horses went up and down to the tune of an old lullaby. Everything looked alive, yet something felt terribly wrong in the air. At the far end of the park, Liam saw a small roller coaster with blinking lights that seemed too weak to be real. A faded sign above it read "The Last Ride," the paint cracked and peeling away with age. Beside the gate stood a tall man in an old uniform, smiling in an unsettling way. The man asked, "Want to try?" His voice low and slow, as if spoken from far away in a dream. His pale eyes did not blink, and the smile never touched them, making him seem almost like a statue. Without waiting for an answer, he pushed the gate open with a long, creaking sound. The cars of the roller coaster looked ancient but strangely clean, as if polished for a special occasion no one had heard about. The metal rails shone faintly under the flickering bulbs, casting strange shadows over the ground. A sudden wind swept over the track, carrying a smell of rust, rain, and something bitter. The group climbed into the car, laughing nervously to hide the fear building in their chests. Before they could adjust their seats, the safety bars came down on their own with a loud metallic click that made them jump. The man gave them a slow, cold wave, and the ride began to move forward into the shadows. At first, the ride was gentle, gliding through bright tunnels decorated with colorful lights that danced on the walls. The walls were lined with old carnival posters showing happy families and smiling children holding balloons. Liam began to relax a little, thinking it might be harmless after all. But as they went further, the lights began to fade and the posters changed before their eyes. The smiles on the faces were gone, replaced with expressions of pain and terror that looked disturbingly real. The air grew icy cold, and Liam felt a strange pressure in his chest as if something heavy was watching him. The track twisted in impossible shapes, turning sharply left and right as if leading them nowhere. They went deeper and deeper underground, leaving the music and faint light far behind. The wind roared around them, and shadows seemed to flash across the tunnel walls like running figures. In the darkness ahead, two glowing eyes appeared, watching them closely without moving. Faint whispers rose from all around, speaking in a language they could not understand. Then suddenly, Liam heard his own name spoken clearly in a deep, cold voice. One of his friends shouted for the ride to stop, but the car only went faster, shaking violently as it moved. The tunnel ahead split into several twisting paths, each one glowing faintly with an eerie blue light. Without their control, the car chose one path and rushed forward into the unknown. The shadows along the walls began to move, following the car like hunters chasing prey. They grew taller and darker, their shapes stretching unnaturally until they touched the ceiling. The whispers became louder, almost like screams inside Liam's head. The track climbed sharply upward, rising higher and higher into the air until the park below became small and distant. From above, Liam could see that the rides below were broken, twisted, and completely lifeless. All the bright lights had vanished, leaving only deep darkness surrounding them. At the very top, the car came to a sudden shaking stop that almost threw them forward. Silence fell so heavily that Liam could hear his own heartbeat echoing in his ears. From the shadows ahead, the man in the uniform stepped forward, his smile now completely gone and his eyes empty. He said slowly, "Most people get off here," his voice echoing as if the air itself was repeating the words. "But you came to stay forever, and forever is a very long time." Liam's hands froze against the cold metal bar holding him in place, and he felt the air grow heavy. Without warning, the car dropped forward into a terrifying fall, twisting violently as it went down. A massive black hole opened ahead, swirling like a storm and swallowing every bit of light. The sound of rushing wind filled their ears, almost drowning out their screams. Liam shut his eyes tightly, bracing for the crash that never came. When he opened them, he was standing alone at the park gate, his breath visible in the cold air. The rides were still, the music was gone, and the night was completely silent except for the wind. His friends were nowhere in sight, and panic began to rise inside him as he called their names. Reaching into his pocket without thinking, he found a small paper ticket, still warm as if freshly printed. In dark red letters it read, "Admit one forever," making his blood run cold. That night, people walking past the park swore they saw the Ferris wheel turning slowly in the darkness. A soft lullaby floated on the wind, carrying words they could not understand. And if you listened closely, you could hear a young man's voice calling for help from the last ride.